I found this story on a forum. It was written by a user named K, so this happened about 15 years ago, when I was a senior in high school. Our school had just received a bomb threat, and we were all heading to the library, which was the designated safe room in the event of a lockdown. We were instructed to stay quiet and move to the back of the library and get under the tables. As we're sitting there in the dark, my friend and I started hearing what sounded like footsteps near the entrance to the library. We looked over and saw what appeared to be a shadow under the door. It was just standing still, and then it started to come closer. My friend and I started freaking out, whispering, "Is that a person? Is someone coming to kill us?" The shadow stopped again, a few feet from us, and we could make out the distinct shape of a person. Still no light, so we couldn't see any details. Then we started hearing what sounded like heavy breathing. My friend and I started screaming and making tons of noise. Other students and even some teachers were in that library with us, and they were starting to freak out as well. Then we heard what sounded like the doorknob turning. My friend and I started making even more noise, and the teachers started ushering everyone to the back of the room away from the door. The next thing I remember is being outside in the bright sunlight with everyone else. Apparently, the fire alarm had gone off, and the police and fire department had come to investigate. As it turns out, the footsteps we heard were actually a janitor who was sweeping the floor outside the library. The shadow was from his broom, and the breathing sounds were from him talking into his walkie-talkie. And the door handle, it was just the wind. But this story gets better. After everyone had left the library and the teachers had returned to their classrooms, I went back to the library to get my jacket, which I had left under the table. When I went back, I noticed something strange. There were no windows in the library, and the only way to get light in there was through the door. But when I walked in, the door was shut, and there was a big spotlight shining directly on the spot where the shadow had appeared. I looked around to see if anyone was there, and no one was in the library. So I walked up to the door and opened it. Outside, I looked around to see where the light was coming from, and there was nothing there. I walked back into the library and closed the door behind me. I don't know, I just thought that was creepy. Okay, this is actually terrifying. If this story freaked you out, then subscribe, because tomorrow I'll be reading the follow-up where the lockdown ends with a missing student. See you then. Bye.